I'm gonna recording is in progress. Good deal. And can you still hear me okay?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, good deal. Yep. So let's start out with tell me your name and the company that you work with.
My name is Cahn Wiggs, and I am a builder with Brian D. Wiggs Homes in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Fantastic. And what is your position there, Con? What the heck do you do with Brian D. Wiggs?
I am vice president of operations, but I cover all field operations on all projects around the office, anything of that sort of matter.
Okay, cool. So I don't know, just because it might be a little awkward for some listeners. I don't know. To work for Brian Wiggs, do you have to change your last name to Wiggs? I'm just knowing that your last name is Wiggs, his last name is Wiggs. What's going on there? What's up with the Wiggs thing?
We are a family run company. It's Brian, myself, and my brother in law, Aaron, who's not a Wiggs, but he's married to one. So we let him in. We've been family run company for 20 years. And about 3 years ago, we hired someone that's not family, but she's been awesome and a great asset to the company. So we're drawing up paperwork to adopt her to make her a Wiggs.
Very good. I think it's only right that everybody actually, it's kind of a blood oath that you're in. Yeah, you can't really
Mhm.
leave that. So, all right, man. Well, let's see. Uh, uh, Con, talk to me a little bit about some of the struggles, some of the difficulties, some of the limitations. Insert whatever word you want to insert there. Some of the stuff that was going on before you started working with the leadership initiative that led Brian and you guys to the place where you're going, okay, we're going to need some help,
Mhm.
with this. And so I'm first of all going to ask you about what was going on with the team and the company. And then the follow-up question is going to be what was going on specifically with you in your position, some of the struggles that you were dealing with some of your trade partners and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean that's pretty much an easy one. We were struggling with processes and procedures. And so that's where we started with you trying to figure out, okay, how do we organize the company? How do we make it to where we know what the process is, and then we can repeat the process over and over until it just becomes habit and not something that you got to go look up a document and find, okay, if I'm going to brush my teeth, how do I properly brush my teeth so I do it effective and efficiently?
Okay, cool. And speaking of brushing the teeth, that's probably a hypothetical, I would assume.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but can you think of any specific examples of processes that you guys didn't have in place, and as a result, you tended to deal with it with every project you'd come back to, here we are again in the same spot.
Right. So, as a custom home builder, we receive a lot of information and details. And so, what do you do with all that information? And how do you store it? Where do you store it so that when I'm out in the field and I'm working with my trade partners and I need to know, okay, is it square corners on sheetrock or round corners? How do I go retrieve that information in a timely manner? Um, so that was the main thing, was how do we organize all of these details so that we can be detail oriented and run in an efficient manner instead of spending all my time just searching through files and files trying to find that one key piece of information I need to keep moving.
Okay. And what were some of your meetings like, your team meetings when you would get together? Were they short meetings that were very targeted, or did they tend to go long, kind of all over the board? Talk to me a little bit about what were those meetings like as a team before you had these systems in place and these, maybe talk a little bit about some of the tracking and the problems that we have because we didn't have tracking and so on.
Yeah, they were longer meetings. They were more organic, and they just kind of go. They would they would move in random directions. They weren't real pointed, and it was like, okay, who's got a question? What's your question? And let's just follow the road that takes us down, versus starting the meeting with an agenda and going, okay, follow the agenda, stay on track, If that's not part of the agenda, send it to the parking lot. We'll set a time and a place to deal with that. So,
Fantastic. Okay. All right, man. And then how about you specifically in your position as the production manager and the guy that's in charge of pretty much everything in the field? Uh,
mhm.
what were some of the struggles that you were having, not only communicating, as you mentioned, communicating back to the team, but also communicating with your customers and communicating with your trade partners and subcontractors and all that kind of stuff? What were some of those struggles and difficulties that you were dealing with back before we were able to implement stuff?
Right. So a lot of my job is just making sure the scope of work is done with accuracy. And I have to line up labor and material to both be on the job at the same time. And they have to have their details of what they're going to do with that so that we can get the job done. And that was a struggle going, okay, is everything designed and ready for me so that I can give those details to my trade partners and let them go to the job, get it all done on one visit, or if it's a week long, it's 5 daily visits, and then they're done and they're out, and I'm ready for the next guy. So a lot of my struggles were, okay, I'm on the job with the guys, but I don't have all my details, so they can only do what I've told them to do, and then they leave. But now I have to reschedule them to come back because I'm going to get those details 3 days from now. And now I need more material, so I got to order that. I got to wait for it to deliver. They said they were going to deliver it Monday, and my guys were there Monday, but it didn't. The material didn't show up on Monday. It showed up on Tuesday, but my guys were gone. So it was just a lot of logistics of trying to get everything scheduled to be ready at the same time.
Okay. And not having those systems in place, talk a little bit about how that negatively impacted your time and your money and
Mm-hmm.
your energy and all that kind of stuff.
Well, energy is definitely drains your energy, um, more so than you can calculate. But we did spend a lot of time trying to crunch some numbers and figure out, okay, when we have drift or what we call a lost day of work because there was nobody on site working, nobody progressing the house. We've calculated it's about $500 a day to have a job just sit with nothing going on. So you can imagine, if one day costs you 5 days, then you lose $2,500 in a week just like that. The guys were there Monday, but the material wasn't there. So they went to go do another job. They can't come back for 7 days, or whatever it is. They got to go complete that job and then come back to my job. That's a lot of missed time just because you didn't have everything lined up exactly. So, and then you're spending time rescheduling all of that because you've already scheduled it once. Now you have to go back and reschedule it in line. You're making phone calls. Hey, can you be there on Tuesday? Yeah, you can. Hey, can we have the material there? No, it's going to be Wednesday. Okay, hey, it's not Tuesday, it's Wednesday. Oh, you can't be there Wednesday? When can you? Oh, Friday? Okay, book me for Friday. As you're going,
Wow.
wow, I just lost a week of work, and it was because I wasn't able to have everything planned out exactly where I needed it to be.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And how did that eventually trickle down to customer service? And talk a little bit about how those issues that you as a team and then you personally as the project manager that you were dealing with, how did that impact the experience that your customers were having?
Right. So, I mean, customer service is the main thing. You want your client to have a great experience, and if they're not getting good customer service, it negatively impacts that experience. And when I tell my client, "Hey, this, and this is going to happen on Monday," and then Monday rolls around and it doesn't happen, then that's a bad experience for them, and they're wondering, okay, did my project manager actually have those things lined up and things out of his control happened? Or did he just lie to me and he said he was going to do something Monday, but he didn't plan on it, or he wasn't scheduled for it? You give them all these negative thoughts, and you can't control where they go with those. And so, yeah, it makes customer service really hard when you're telling them, okay, here's what's going to happen, and then that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's start making the transition now. Okay, we talked about all the stuff that was going on before, but then start to list just a handful of specific strategies, so specific systems, specific moves that we started putting into place to help you deal with each of these areas, whether they be strategies for you guys as a team, or whether they be strategies for you specifically as a project manager. Talk a little bit about, 2 or 3 of the strategies. You don't have to go into all of them. You may want to list a few and then talk about how, and then just move right into utilizing this one strategy has really been able to help us to do X, Y, and Z.
Right. So, I mean, one of the best things we did was we went out and got Builder which is our online software that really helps us organize everything electronically so that you can access it, whether you're in the field or at the office or your home office. And so having that was a huge help, but that alone wasn't it. We had to build our processes of how do you input your information into Builder so that it can be a key component to make you more effective and allow you to be strategic and hit your marks, and so that you're not spending time redoing something you've already done because you missed your time.
Okay.
But a lot of those procedures were how do you receive information and details? How do you categorize that? Where do you file that so that anybody on the team can pull up the electronic file and go to the exact document that they're looking for? And so Clay has helped us build those and get us organized so that we're not spending time searching for things. We're going right to the documents that we need, getting that information, and then sending that to the right people.
Fantastic. Talk a little bit about things that we've implemented to help your meetings go smoother and be more effective with your communication.
Yeah. So having a meeting, one of the things Clay implemented was having an agenda. You got to start your meeting with an agenda. You got to know what you need to discuss, what are the hot topics and the important information, and you got to stay on track. And then any of your tangents that pop up, you got to throw those into the parking lot. And then after the meeting, schedule a time to deal with those. But just having an agenda alone has saved us a tremendous amount of time because, like I said, we're a family-run company. Sometimes personal mixes into business when you're in a meeting and you're talking about, I'm talking to my dad, who's my boss, but he's also grandfather to my kids. And so you go, hey, let me tell you a story about my kids. You're going to enjoy this as a grandfather. And he's like, no, not on the agenda. Parking lot that. We'll talk about that after work. Let's go ahead and get done with this meeting so that we stay on topic.
Okay, fantastic. And let's see, how about systems? We were just talking on the phone yesterday, and you were saying use the word clockwork. So what are some of the things over this last year? And feel free to say, over the last year, I've been able to implement these 2 or 3 things, and it's allowed things to move more like clockwork with my with our subcontractors, trade partners, and so on. What are some of list 1 or 2 of those things that we've been able to put into place?
Okay, so over the last year, as we have built our processes and procedures and started to actually follow those, it has allowed us to build in schedules that are different from the production schedule. We've got design and production. And now as we run through our meetings with agendas, we can take the design details and get those bundled up and into the correct file so that the production department can take those and run. And when I build a production schedule and I say, okay, I'm going to have this information on this date and that information on that date, then I can schedule my guys in advance, 3-4 weeks in advance, and give them an accurate date that they can shoot for. And they know, okay, on August 1st, I need to be on Brian D. Wiggs' job because they're going to have material and the job's going to be ready for me. And I know I can show up and do what I need to do and make money and move on down the road. And so over the last year, as we've built all of those, it's just been amazing how much time it has saved us being able to repeat those processes, and instead of having to go feel like you're having to create the wheel or rebuild something every single time.
Cool. And how have your subcontractors responded to those systems that you've put into place when you now ask them, hey guys, we need you to play the game our way? Talk a little bit about how that has gone.
Yeah, my trade partners have responded in a very positive way because I can call them in advance and say, hey, I'm going to need you on a job in 2 or 3 weeks from now. I'm not calling them going, hey, I need a favor. I know I owe you 5 favors, but I need you to stop what you're doing and come to my job right now or first thing tomorrow morning and take care of something. I know you guys were here yesterday, but I didn't have all the information, so I really need you to come back tomorrow. We've been able to eliminate a lot of that to where now I can send them messages and go, here's your scope of work, and here's when I need you, and the job's going to be ready within 1 or 2 days of those dates. I remember years ago, I was in the truck with my dad, and we called a guy and said, hey, put me on the schedule. I need you a month from now. And the guy just literally laughed out loud, just a big belly laugh. And he's like, there's no way that you know that you're going to be ready for me 1 month from now. And Dad and I just looked at each other and we said, okay, we're going to change that. We're going to get to a place where when we call and we say, I need you a month from now, they go, okay, I'm writing it down and I'll see you on August 31st or, whatever date that is. And they know they can count on that within a day or two.
Fantastic. So now is everything perfect?
No, it's not even close to perfect. And unless Clay can teach me the Jedi tricks, I'll never be able to have it perfect because you're people dealing with people. You never know who's going to have a bad day, who didn't get enough sleep, who's having personal issues that are clouding their brain. We still deal with the weather and, all the rain that's going on. It can slow you down. So it's not perfect, but within the chaos of weather and people, we have started to zero in on perfection, and that's the goal that we strive for.
Fantastic. And okay, so talk a little bit about, and you don't have to go into great detail, but just a little bit about over this last year to 18 months with your mom. And again, you don't have to go into great detail, but the business has been able to function and actually function at a very high level because of all of these systems, even in the midst of this event. And so if you don't mind, give me like 3 or 4 sentences just on the value of how these systems have helped you through that major life event.
Right. Okay. So about a year ago, my mom got ill and we found out that she had cancer, and we battled that. And about 6 months ago, we lost her. And that was tough for us. But because of the processes and procedures that we had in place, it allowed my dad to spend more time at home caring for his wife and going through that personal time with my mom, and the company was able to continue to operate because of the things that we already had in place that were set in motion, and the input that we already had on builder trend. We were People were still receiving information as if Brian was there working, because it was already set up, and some of it's automated, so that if someone's going to needs to be there 3 weeks from now, and it's built into the schedule, then they get a message 3 weeks from before then, and then they get another one the week before, and then they get another one the day of. But it also allowed Aaron and I to pick up a lot of what he was doing. And because he had processes for it, we were able to read through those and then cover some of his meetings and do some of the things that he was doing and do them in the same way that he was doing them, because we knew how to follow that procedure. And we could do it without having to call him and ask him questions, because we could just pull up the document and read it and follow along.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thanks for answering that. And so maybe in just one or two sentences, talk a little bit about how, again, it's not perfect now, but say just one or two sentences about saving time, saving money, and being able to make more money now because of the support of these systems.
Right. So with these systems, I'm able to spend time doing it once instead of having to waste time redoing it and then redoing it again because of missed opportunities. So we save a lot of time that way. With that free time, I'm then able to focus on other jobs, which help make us money so that we can operate and do more jobs at one time. It also saves a lot of energy. As you know, if you have to call someone and schedule them and then call them back and reschedule them and then call them again and reschedule them, it just wears down your energy levels. And then you don't have all of yourself to put into whatever the next item is on the list.
Fantastic. So if you were if you were sitting at the bar, all right, and you're having drinks with another person, maybe a buddy, maybe someone you don't even know, you just met them at a conference, and they're a home builder very similar to you, and they're talking about some of the same struggles and difficulties that you guys were experiencing before the coaching. How would you encourage? What would you say to somebody like that about reaching out to the leadership initiative and entering into a coaching relationship? How would you encourage them? Would you encourage them? Stay away from Clay; he's a freak. Or what kind of encouragement would you give to them on how coaching could really help them?
I would definitely encourage people to reach out to the leadership initiative and get on board with that. It's tough at first, but the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. But it's kind of like climbing a ladder to the slide into the pool. You got to climb those steps to get to the top. But then once you have all that built, you jump on the slide and you slide down into the pool, and now you're swimming in the blue waters. So
what a great metaphor. I love it. I haven't heard that before. I'm going to use that one. Actually, I'm getting ready to do a sales call a little bit later today, Cahn. Right. Bring that up. It's like one of my clients talks about. It's the ladder, it's the slide, it's the pool. Yeah, I love it.
Well, and you talked to us about the red waters versus the blue waters.
Yeah.
All the competitive people, the chums in the water, and they're trying to sail through the red waters with the sharks. And we really want to be sailing in the blue waters.
Yeah.
So that was kind of I slipped that blue water in there.
Very nice. I love it. I love it. Yeah. All right, man. Well, Cahn, thank you so much for your time. And I told you I'd be 30 minutes. And so I think we're right there. And
Okay.
so I want to respect your time. Thank you very much for this. And we'll get this edited up, and when it all gets done, I'll shoot it to you so you can see your beautiful face. All right.
Okay. Sounds
All
good.
right.
Thanks, Clay.
Hey,
Appreciate it.
appreciate you. Talk to you later. Bye bye.
See you. Now the tricky part, can he end the call?
I know. Can I end the call? And okay, so I'm going to stop the recording.